Good afternoon. My name is Kevin Patterson, RN, coming from Alcorn State University School of Graduate Nursing. I'll be doing a presentation on the issues related to advanced practice, with my topic being RN to FNP transition. Some of the aspects I'll be covering in this presentation will be the introduction, then mentoring, the significance of mentoring, the RN to student nurse practitioner transition, and then the student nurse practitioner to practicing nurse practitioner transition. The importance of precepting, interviews that are conducted on three practicing family nurse practitioners, and then a conclusion. My introduction: the nurse practitioner's role was implemented over 50 years ago. There's a need that was sought in the medical practice, with there being a shortage of family medicine physicians. Therefore, the role of the nurse practitioner was created. Nurse practitioners are proven to reduce healthcare costs. This by implementing quality health care at a substantially smaller cost than a physician. Factors contributing to the role of education include clinical sites, preceptors, and mentoring. All play a significant role in the development of the novice nurse practitioner. Understanding the factors that influence the transition help to better prepare the novice nurse practitioner. So, if the novice nurse practitioner is to become a quality nurse practitioner, they must understand the importance of picking good clinical sites, picking quality preceptors, and also continue to have mentors as they progress through their profession. Ineffective transition projects can possibly lead to ineffective quality care delivered by the nurse practitioner. The aspect of mentoring. Mentorship offers a process of guidance and support, and is crucial to the novice nurse practitioner in their new role. This guidance and support helps the new or the novice nurse practitioner gain confidence in their practice. Mentorship can give more experienced nurse practitioners an avenue to guide inexperienced nurse practitioners. In order for the profession to continue to grow and to continue to build upon itself, um, more experienced nurse practitioners, it is imperative that they help guide and mentor the new nurse practitioners to ensure that the value of the nurse practitioner stays at a high level. Mentor novice nurse practitioners have better health outcomes, are more social, productive, and have better job satisfaction. These are all positive aspects of being mentored by an experienced nurse practitioner. Mentored nurse practitioners are more likely to mentor novice nurse practitioners because of their positive experience. Nurse practitioners that have been mentored by a knowledgeable nurse practitioner are more likely to turn around and to mentor someone who is going through the educational process when they become a more experienced nurse practitioner. Continuing on with mentorship, it is ultimately up to the student or novice nurse practitioner to seek out mentorship. There is not going to be a lot of instances where a mentor is going to be seeking out mentees. So, in order to um, inform someone that you want to be mentored, you have to reach out to them and let them know why and how you can utilize their services. Novice nurse practitioners benefit greatly from mentorship with transition to practice. This is self-explanatory here. When you have someone to bounce ideas off of and ask questions to, it helps to develop more confidence in the novice nurse practitioner. Mentors are utilized throughout the career of nurse practitioners. This is not uncommon in the practice of medicine. You'll see in one of my interviews, I interviewed a nurse practitioner with over 20 years of experience. States that she still utilizes mentorship in order to help her with her decision making process when it comes to treating patients. And mentorship is old but a widely used practice, even internationally. You'll see other countries that utilize mentorship for their nurse practitioners to help um, grow their profession. We're talking about the role of transitioning from RN to student nurse practitioner. Many times, nurse practitioner students have been practicing as a registered nurse for approximately 10 years. This has a number of factors, whether it be confidence, whether it be just wanting to develop more as a registered nurse prior to going to nurse practitioner school. There are a number of reasons for that 10-year gap. A nurse practitioner degree can take between 2 and 4 years, being full-time versus part-time. With the part-time students, you'll see more of uh, um, a single individual or a single parent home where the person must continue to work full time and also go to school on a part time basis. With full time, is traditionally you'll have a two-person household where someone else can possibly take care of the financial responsibility while the student goes to school full time. Most programs require nurse practitioner students to have 1 to 2 years of nursing experience prior to getting their advanced degree. Um, you'll see this in a lot of cases with programs around the country. Options available for the student nurse practitioner are master's and doctor prepared programs. School of Graduate Nursing at Alcorn State University, there's a master's prepared program. And some offer doctorate programs where you'll get the degree of the doctorate of nursing practice. And then nearly, just some statistics here, nearly 62% of student nurse practitioners are in the family specialty. You have acute care, you have adult geriatric, you have pediatric, you have women specialties. But 62% of the nurse practitioners, student nurse practitioners, comes from the family specialty, with only 24% of the nurse practitioner students being men. Speaking on the role of the student to practicing nurse practitioner, that transition, receiving a proper orientation in the first nurse practitioner role provides a strong foundation for the future of the novice nurse practitioner. The orientation process for the novice nurse practitioner is essential for the confidence building and for the knowledge base of the novice nurse practitioner. Unexpectedly, prior experience of the nurse in the registered nurse role was a non-factor in the success of a nurse practitioner. You'll hear this as a lot of times in the nursing profession, is that the opinion of other nurses is that you need to have um, a set amount of years of experience prior to going to nurse practitioner school. And research shows that that's a non-factor, especially when the student nurse practitioner has gone through the proper educational aspect and clinical aspect to become a family nurse practitioner. With multiple modes of entry into the profession, there will be some instances where the nurse practitioner enter into the role with little to no RN experience whatsoever. Some programs are allowing nurse practitioner students in without any experience as an RN. And this is where you'll have instances where the nurse practitioner won't have any bedside experience whatsoever as an RN. Talk about precept and its importance in the transition to nurse practitioner role. Many preceptors will admit that precepting for future nurse practitioners is one of the most rewarding aspects of their profession. Not only is it rewarding, but most states' board of nursing require the nurse practitioner um, to have multiple hours of continuing education over, say, a 3 year span. Mentoring or precepting other nurse practitioner students will count for some of those hours, so it's extremely important for the practicing nurse practitioner. Faculty must rely on clinical preceptors to ensure students understand the didactic portion of clinical courses. Um, Faculty is not at the bedside or at the patient's bedside with the student nurse practitioner. 100% of the time, you're going to have preceptors at that bedside with that student nurse practitioner. So it's extremely important for the preceptors to be knowledgeable about the treatment processes and any questions the student nurse practitioner may have. Students with less knowledge and skill require more hands-on from instruction from the preceptor, going back to some of those student nurse practitioners who don't have any bedside experience as an RN. They may take a little bit more hands-on instruction from the preceptor to understand some of the clinical aspects when it comes to your clinical courses. The preceptors must be able to multitask. They're expected to provide clinical care and be a resource to the student nurse practitioner. A lot of times, especially in my experience, I've been sent to see a patient while my preceptor sees another patient, and then we come back and we discuss the findings that I found on the patient that I was evaluating. So therefore, they must be able to not only see their patient load and take care of that administratively, but also be a resource for the student nurse practitioner that they are precepting. By the end of the nurse practitioner educational experience, they would have accumulated hundreds of supervised hours from a preceptor. This takes place in the 100% of the nurse practitioner programs around the country. In order to meet the requirements for graduation, you must have so many hours of supervised precepting. That all comes from knowledgeable preceptors within the community and within our practice. This presentation, it was important to interview practicing nurse practitioners and understand some of their thought processes on mentorship, precepting, and the transition role for them. The first person I interviewed was Shanika Simmons, family nurse practitioner, who is now my current preceptor in my last semester at Alcorn State University School of Graduate Nursing. Asked her about mentors, and she stated that she utilized mentors throughout our RN experience, graduate school experience, and now while continuing to practice. So it shows the magnitude of the mentor and what it does for uh, for the for the confidence of the practicing nurse practitioner. I asked her what was most helpful throughout her master's program, and she said above average preceptors were her were the most helpful throughout her program. She said, studying hard and being in the books was extremely important, but those above average preceptors played a significant role in her learning experience. Um, she said, especially with completing or learning how to complete histories and physicals. And then I asked, what was the transition for her from RN to nurse practitioner difficult? And she said yes. She said she had to learn a lot and think as a provider, which was the most challenging thing for her. She had to start thinking as the RN, taking those orders from providers and becoming that provider. Um, and then what happens next after making those decisions, and what is the follow-up process for those patients? Second interview conducted was a nurse practitioner practicing at one of the local hospitals here as a neurosurgery or neurology nurse practitioner, Miss Andrea King, who has her doctorate of nursing practice. I asked her the question of how were your preceptors in that experience for you? And she stated that she did a 3-year DNP program that was grueling. And she spent a lot of time in specialty clinics with some smart preceptors. She will always appreciate them for that. So she held her preceptors at a high value because of what she was able to learn from them. Uh, I asked her about mentorship. Does she currently have a mentor? She said yes. She said she will always have mentors and multiple mentors. She said they help greatly when she stumped on a question that she may have. And she practices as a high role um, for a nurse practitioner. She is a 24-hour family nurse practitioner practicing in the neurology aspect where stroke calls come into her hospital, and she's one of the first people at the bedside with these patients and making those decisions about what needs to take place next for this patient when time is practically tissue with these particular patients. I asked her, did she enjoy what she does? And she said sometimes it can be overwhelming. but most times she considers the best decision that she ever made was going back to school and getting her doctorate from nursing practice and becoming a nurse practitioner. She says the autonomy is great, and the ability to change people's lives are great. Last interview I conducted was with a seasoned family nurse practitioner who practices in acute care, Miss Jody Stubbs. Works in a local emergency department in one of the hospitals in the area. And I just asked her to specifically just tell me about her career. Stated that she started in the ICU over 20 years ago. She decided to further her education about 10 years into working as an RN on the floor. Then she stated that she had been working in the emergency department for the past 17 years as a family nurse practitioner or acute care nurse practitioner. Asked do she continue to precept students or student nurse practitioners? She said yes. She said, in fact, she has a student right now. She said, I think in order to move our profession forward, must continue to build each other, improve our value, which I thought was extremely important because in order to continue to ensure that the nurse practitioner role has value, we must ensure that we're practicing it with high quality standards, and there's no other way to get those standards other than precepting and helping build one another's practicing capabilities. I asked her what resources does she use most often. She says that she works a lot around a lot of small physicians. Being that she's in an emergency department, she has those at her disposal. But she says that her favorite electronic resource will be up to date. In conclusion, with my RN to FNP transition, we found that mentorship is single-handedly one of the most important aspects of skill development for the student nurse practitioner. Having those mentors, being able to bounce ideas or utilize them as a resource, uh, played a significant role in the development of the student nurse practitioner. Surprisingly, though, there's no direct correlation between the role transition and years of nursing experience. Um, a lot of times, even prior to myself going into nursing school, I heard a lot of times that people suggest that nurses have a certain amount, whether it be 5 years, 10 years, 15 years of nursing experience prior to going to nurse practitioner school. Well, research shows that there's no direct correlation between the transition from RN to nurse practitioner with years of experience. It also showed that knowledgeable preceptors play a significant role in the development of nurse practitioner students. Without preceptors, nurse practitioner school would almost be a situation where it's very non-existent. Uh, you must be able to send those student nurse practitioners out to other nurse practitioners or even doctors to follow them around and help develop their knowledge base and help develop their clinical capabilities in order to ensure that they're delivering quality care. And experienced nurse practitioners believe that preceptorship is imperative for the development of the student nurse practitioner. Just about all the nurse practitioners that I interviewed stated that preceptorship was either important to them or important to the development of the role of the nurse practitioner now. So everybody holds that preceptorship to a high standard.